Let's look at the 5 teams that just need it the most. The 5 teams under the most pressure in the 2025 NFL season. Who needs it the most in the NFL this year? Let's break it down as we continue our 2025 NFL previews. Honorable mention goes to the Detroit Lions. I put honorable mention here because this is easily the best stretch this franchise has had in my lifetime and probably beyond. So it is tough to say, man, win more, because who knows, right? But they've been so close for so long. They have a lot of losses in the coaching department and on that offensive line, but this is still a team that has been close enough for a while that I think there is pressure for them to take that next step and at least play for a Super Bowl. But because of the low nature of the bar that they've had to clear for the last little bit, I don't think that pressure is on them just quite yet to the level of some of these other teams. So coming in at number 5 is the Chicago Bears. And now pressure means different things for different teams, as I said kind of in the open of this. For the Bears, I think there is an immense pressure to take a giant step forward this year. They made a move that everyone applauded as this giant thing that they were able to make this big splash, trading picks with Carolina, and look at that, they've ended up with Caleb Williams. Well, then year 1 happened, and this guy who was the most hyped prospect that we had since Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence, whatever delineation you wanted to put on, this was a Heisman Trophy winner coming out of USC that everyone had pegged for a year as the number 1 overall pick. And it didn't go great in year number 1. I think there is incredible pressure in Chicago to make this look significantly better than what it did a season ago. So is it Super Bowl or bust in Chicago? I don't think so. But is the pressure on them probably greater than a lot of other teams in the league? I would say yes, it is. At number 4, it is the LA Rams, recent Super Bowl champions. So again, that pressure, not necessarily as much. This one is more a race against time with their quarterback, Matthew Stafford. And you are already seeing the signs of aging with Stafford having the back problems here in training camp. This is a team that's still, I think that they recovered really well after championship year. They sold a lot of draft picks to make that push to get to that level. You would think there would be a bit of a falling off, and there was a touch of one, but they scouting, developing everything, they found a few diamonds in the rough and did a great job of rebuilding specifically that defense, but then finding the next wave on offense with Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua. So I don't think that if once Matthew Stafford leaves, it is going to be the Patriots turning to Jacoby Brissett and Mac Jones, but I do think that there is pressure to still win while you have that guy as your quarterback and try to take advantage of that instead of, well, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo or we'll find something. So I think there's some pressure on them. At number 3, it's kind of similar to the Chicago Bears. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think the pressure is necessarily on the coach. He's a first-time coach. The GM probably. First-time GM there, or new GM there anyway. But the pressure's on Trevor Lawrence. Again, like we talked about how Caleb Williams was the most hyped, whatever. Trevor Lawrence was can't miss. This was as stone cold of a lock to come in and not just play well, but to change a franchise that we had had in a really long time. And it hasn't worked. And you can very much make the compelling arguments that he has not been given the offensive line or the weapons to help support him. But I take you back to his draft time, and that wasn't supposed to matter with him. Is that an unfair bar to set? You're gosh darn right it is. But this guy was supposed to be transformative for Jacksonville, and it just hasn't been. So this is, I don't think they've given him enough, again, going into this season, but this is a year that I think it has to turn around there, or else serious questions are going to be asked about the future of Trevor Lawrence. I think a lot of people have already written him off. This is going to be kind of the last dance year for me with him. The next 2 are in the Super Bowl or bust category. It's the Baltimore Ravens. They are under significant pressure for the upcoming NFL season when you look at having Lamar Jackson, this whole era of Lamar Jackson football, and trying to make a run toward a championship. And every time it seems like they get close, either, it's a lot of times fumbles around the goal line, to be perfectly honest, and that ends up being the dagger for them. They have come close. They have had elite talent for a while. Last year kind of felt like it was the chance for them, given how good they played in the regular season. It didn't happen. But that pressure, I think, is really starting to mount for this team to break through in a real big-time way, whether it be past the Chiefs, the Bengals, or the team that's number one on this list, the Buffalo Bills. As Josh Allen gets them to an AFC championship game. They had the ball with an opportunity to strike against Kansas City, and they couldn't quite pull it off. Not Josh Allen's fault. I'm not saying, like, he does not have the pressure, I guess, that some of these guys do, where it's like, boy, is this guy going to figure it out? He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, at like number 1 or 2 or 3, depending on where you're at. I guess some may have him 4. But this is genuinely one of the best players in the league in Josh Allen. And they've had him there for a while and don't have a Super Bowl appearance to show for it. I feel like the pressure is really going to start to mount on Buffalo if it is another trip to the Super Bowl for Kansas City, another disappointing playoff loss. I feel like the Buffalo Bills are the team this year that has the most pressure on them in the National Football League. Let me know your thoughts. Am I out to lunch in thinking that Buffalo has all of that pressure on them? Let me know. Comments below or over in the chat there, depending if you're watching live or not.